Well, this is going to be a little bit of a different intro. I am post-op from my procedure. Some B-roll of the hospital room.
Made it home. I gotta go drop off some prescriptions for. So, got a couple things I'm gonna touch on in the rest of this video. And one is gonna be about a little thing about my hospital experience, because there are some aspects of staying in the hospital that are just too good to pass up. So we'll get back to that when I get these prescriptions dropped off. So before I get into talking about my experiences in the hospital, I want to talk about an experience I had when I was in the hospital. I had a whole bunch of videos queued up in my Snap Life series, had them queued up for days and days ahead, and I thought, probably would be out before the queue ran out. Not so much, and so I dropped a really short video. I was sitting talking to the camera, and I was just behind the camera looking at Well, one of my subscribers, the guy I also subscribe to, Brian, and I'm going to butcher the last name, Brian says that he really enjoyed that. He gave me a really, really amazing shout out. There's a card up there somewhere. So anyway, Brian is a good vlogger. He has good things to say. He's got some really creative and very, very, very polished camera techniques and editing techniques, and I think you would absolutely enjoy his channel. So wherever that card was, go over there, subscribe to his channel, watch some videos, leave him some comments, let him know what you think. And I just want to say to him personally, if you come across this one, thank you so much for that shout out. That was really, really cool. I really appreciate that. The first point, listen through this one, because I believe this is important, and I think this is something that is a challenge to the medical institution for the 21st century. There is in medicine, the way the hospitals work is the doctors have to give the orders. I know you appreciate the fact that I got the ambulance to come by while I was talking about this. I should get some bonus likes for that. But in order for something to happen, the doctor has to give the order. And in order for the doctor to give the order, there's usually something he wants to know before he gives the order. So I'm going to call this the information action cycle. And so the patient will say, well, I got this. And the doctor will say, well, run this test. And then the doctor goes off, because of the way our medicine is set up, he's got 3 surgeries to do. The test will come back. And eventually the doctor will see the test results. And then he will write orders. He'll say, give the patient this thing, or do this thing to the patient. And eventually the nurses will see his orders, and then they will show up and they'll say, hey, the doctor, your labs came back with, purple and green, and so now you're going to have to get this thing. Now, this takes a long time. When the doctor asks for the data, there's a gap of time before he gets the data, and assuming that he is sitting there waiting for it, which he never is, or she never is, because they've got a lot of other patients. So the gap between when he asks for it and when the data is ready, and then there's another gap between when the data is ready and when the doctor sees it, and then the doctor makes a decision and writes orders, and now we have our orders sitting here, and then there's another gap between when the orders are written and when the nurse sees them, and then there's another gap, which is usually not very long, between when the nurse sees the orders and acts. So the problem action cycle takes way too long. Way too long. It can literally take, if the doctor asks for something late in the day, it may take the next day lab cycle, next day, It may be 20 hours. It may be 10 hours. It may be 5 hours. But whatever it is, and I don't have the solution. I've never worked in that kind of a hospital. I've never worked in a medical hospital. But there's got to be a way that the doctor can get the information the doctor needs fast enough to get the patient. So this is here's my example from the hospital. So with this ileus that I had, I started feeling extremely bloated. I started having hiccups that were just uncontrollable, and I were having these reflux attacks where I would just be like, and it was going on for hours. And the nurse made a call to the doctor, left a message. Meanwhile, we're still following the old orders, and it didn't get any better. So I ended up eventually getting the NG tube shoved up my nose, and I ended up having that done, but that took way too long, and I spent about 14 hours, 18 hours. It was like from 2 o'clock in the morning until sometime in the afternoon. I don't remember exactly, but my wife thought it was appropriate to videotape them shoving a tube up my nose. This is one of my better moments. Now, if you're queasy, you might want to look away. And it's short. I'm not going to show you a lot of it, but you might want to look away. If this is so here I'm going to count down, and then I'm going to show the clip, and then I'll tell you when you can look back. 3, 2, 1.
Try to swallow. Swallow.
Okay. I'm gonna turn it on.
Just
swallow past it.
You got your stethoscope.
I do. Okay.
It feels rough because it's in your
It
throat.
scratched you. We are definitely in. It
Is
feels
it
funny.
Okay, try to relax. Try to relax. Try to swallow. Try to swallow.
Yes,
I don't even think I need to auscultate at this point.
I'm his mother. Yeah.
Maybe after it slows down.
Okay, thank you.
Because I don't want to
I just put it on continuous for a minute.
I feel like it's
It's in.
It's in because
It's in.
that.
I know you're feeling it, but try
You
to
think
relax.
it's? Do you
Want
think
ice
it's?
chip?
Do you,
You have thrush. He has thrush.
Does he? Try to relax. Try to relax. Try to relax. Just try to breathe. I know.
It's hard.
does it feel?
where's the gag reflex?
Yeah.
Where-
You get
Does it feel
some-
like where it is?
Yeah, because it's like it's where
Okay, the clip is over. The clip is over. Now, if that process had happened, if they had shoved that tube up my nose 6 hours earlier or 8 hours earlier, that long day of just uncontrollable hiccuping and refluxing would have been eliminated. And it was all in that information decision cycle that I was forced to sit there that long. So that's my critique of the 21st century medical system. It is great. There's lots and lots of people healed and helped, and yet there is this growing edge is that cycle of decision making. All right, this next observation is not quite so serious. I want to talk about food. I'm like a super hospital expert. This was like a 10 days, counting day in to day out. I think it was 10 days of being in the hospital. And this is not my longest time in a hospital, and it's not my only. I've had 3 knee surgeries, and before this, I can't remember, so many abdominal surgeries, and had this thing that was outpatient. Hospital food. I'm not the first person to make fun or make a joke about hospital food. Now here's the serious side of it. I know they're trying to save money, but if a day in the hospital, if you charge $1,000 for a day in the hospital, charge $1,020 and make the food better. I mean, another $20 if the food was somehow better. It is mashed potatoes. You boil a potato, you mash the potato, and you eat the potato. I do not know what you served me. I do not know what this was. I do not understand how you can get mashed potatoes wrong. I do not even know what they tasted like. Something like maybe I don't know. I do not know what was in that bowl, but it was horrible. My wife said it cannot possibly be that bad. She doesn't like gravy, but so she stuck her finger in and she tasted it. She goes, "This is horrible." She goes, "There's no salt and there's no butter in it." Wow, that's a pretty. I guess if you add those in after or before, I don't know. The grilled cheese sandwich. I'm thinking to myself, this is an absolute no lose. There is no way you can get grilled cheese wrong. Now, the grilled cheese wasn't awful. On a scale of normal to absolutely horrible, it was closer to normal. It was the closest thing to normal. Still, look at that cheese. Looks like something you could like seal a leaky gutter with. I don't know. My wife said it looked like plastic. All right, so that's the not. Come on. There has got to be a way to make the patient's food not disgusting. I mean, it's mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. There's the recipe. Cook a potato, mash it. Anyway, I'm glad to be out. I'm glad to be better. I hope you may have noticed I made my wife stop at a parking lot so I could do that walk up to the camera thing and show my new dad bod. No alien bulging out, so yeah, so I'm kind of happy about that. I got this big elastic wrap thing still going over the incision site. Also, I gotta say this: if you're thinking, what is this man doing? Driving himself around after he's been in the hospital for all this time. Here's how ileus. This is how they treat ileus. There's one, it's either ileus, or two, it's something else. If it's ileus, it'll work itself out. So the treatment for ileus is wait and let it work itself out and make sure it's not something else. So all this time, all these days, I've just been sitting there waiting for what to go in to come out where it's supposed to come out. And that is the treatment, according to the doctors, everybody I talk to, is that's how you treat it. You wait it out. Eventually the intestines come back from vacation. So the doctor said, he would have discharged me more than a week ago, like the second or third day, except the ileus thing. So now the ileus thing is not something that's going to keep me from driving. And I mean, yeah, so My mom is probably watching this going, "You're supposed to be in the bed." Now she does not talk like that. And so, but that's probably, I just have to make up voices. So my mom would probably, if she sees this, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, what were you doing driving the Tahoe just hours after you got out of the hospital?" Also, I haven't been taking any pain meds besides Tylenol. So that's how good this part, the surgery part, is. So I've just been taking Tylenol, and that's been fine. All right, I just got a text message that my prescriptions are ready. So that means I'm gonna go in here and get those things. Let's see, let's do a quick rundown. Glad to be back. Brian, go check out his channel. Number 3, hospitals, figure it out. Figure out how to get from we need to know to we need to do a lot faster. That we need to know leads to what to do. We gotta close that gap in hospital dietary systems. Come on, please. Absolutely, please. Come on. You gotta do better. All right. So that's pretty much it for this episode. Probably runs a little long, but I had a lot of things. It's been a long time since I've vlogged, so we will let her go at that. Thank you very much for watching. And all of you who have had comments through the days about get better and get well, I appreciate that very, very much. I've tried to stay in touch with my comments and notifications, so I try to respond to everybody. Thank you very much for your care and your support. And No Small Creator, if you're out there, any of those guys from the Facebook group, thank you guys for the comments as well. I love the comments. That's just amazing. Love it. Please subscribe to the channel. I got some exciting things coming up. I got some ideas of some things that I'm gonna do. I learned a lot watching other people's videos over the course of this time, so I'm gonna implement some of those things. And that's all I got for this one. See you in the next one.